Alright guys, I am back and the second floor is pretty much done, and hopefully you guys are at this stage also. What we're going to do now is I'm going to put in a floor for the second floor, and I believe we have a deck right out here, and then we have some concrete porch. So let's get to the first floor, and I'm just going to put in a new floor here. And floor. And for concrete, I think I am going to put a generic 4 inches because, well, actually, let's make another floor. Duplicate. And this one we'll call concrete. Put it there, and then now this floor is an independent floor, and it'll be concrete. So obviously you guys see the floor here, and it's the same yellow pattern or color as the main floor, and we want to make that look like a different texture. So we're going to hatch it, and for now it's probably one of the easier way, and there's multiple ways of doing this, but an easier way would be to select it, right click, and you go to override the element. What I'm telling Revit now is that, hey, I'm going to make just this piece in this particular view a certain color. So once you click that, again, we will be looking at surface patterns because we're not cutting through the concrete. So we're going to say background is going to be a solid white, or maybe we can go light gray if you like. And then on the foreground, we want to put a little bit of a dot pattern. So we're going to come in here, and we're not going to use concrete because this has a little triangles, and that's for concrete that's cut. So I'm just going to get the sand texture here and make that black. So I'm going to have a background of a gray, and then these little dots are going to be black. That's what's basically is happening. So now I have my concrete. A couple of other kind of more technical things. If you have your concrete and this is on the same level as your floor, that's not accurate, because if you have rain, the water's going to go right through your sills. So you want to really drop that. Instead of saying the top of my floor or concrete slab is at the first finished floor, you want to drop that, 1 if not 2 inches. And so then it looks like that, right? So you have a little lip step up getting into the house. Alright, so now let's go to the second floor and see what that looks like. Again, we don't have a floor here for one, and then we need to put in a little deck. So let's go ahead and put in the floor. So I'm going to just do the floor of the upper level first. In this case, I am going to pick the 12-inch because my floor joists are probably going to be 2x6, 2x8, who knows? The engineer will ultimately determine that, but to give myself plenty of cushion space to bring the house lower, I'm just going to use a default 12-inch thick floor, although it's rarely a 12-inch thick floor. And I have the floor, but it's white, and again, that's because in this particular view I haven't set it up so that the floor shows yellow. So hopefully you guys remember. Again, there would be other ways of doing this. I can actually make my floors all come out yellow. Actually basically change my floor family, but for now I want you guys to learn how to just edit as an individual. It takes a little bit more time, but I think it'll be a good learning sequence. And obviously I made my floor a little bit too wide here. So if you have a hard time selecting the floor, you just put your cursor near it, hit your tab button until it actually selects the floor. I'm going to go to edit, and I'm going to pull this. Oh, no. Now I'm going to just draw, or I'm going to do a pick line. And then I'm going to go to trim. I'm going to pick a line here. Trim. Trim. Alright, so now I have my second floor, and then let's just put in a deck. I'm just going to get this rectangle tool, put in a deck. I am using a generic 12-inch floor. Usually, same thing with the deck. You want that deck to be a little bit lower than your floor, again for waterproofing. So I do not have a, well, I do have a 10-inch wood finish. And I think that's default. It comes with your Revit, so let's use that. No, never mind. Let's just customize everything. So we're going to go to duplicate, and then we're going to do a 10-inch so that it'll drop a little lower. So again, we're going to put in a different color here because we want that to show up as like a wood deck. But let's just check something really quickly here. We're going to turn on the section box and cut through. So you can see here my wood deck is on the same line as my regular deck, because again, for floors it's associated with the floor level, so it's going to by default attach to my level. So what you want to do is you want to take that deck and you want to offset that -2. Now if you see this floor is a little bit lower than that, and if I can cut it right through the door, you can see my bottom of the door sill, and then I get a little drop so that the rain drops away from the door. Alright, so now let's fix these gaps that we see between the floor and then the wall. Remember, this wall, the base constraint was finished floor of the second level and then finished ceiling, and then this one only goes up to finished ceiling. So now you have this gap between the two floors. So you have a choice. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to just bring the second floor down. So I'm going to just take the base offset and type 1 feet. Oh no, not 1 inch, 1 feet. Ooh. -1 feet. And let me just copy that real quick. And I'm going to come to this floor. And I only need to do that on the outside walls, obviously. So there you go. So now the Revit model looks relatively clean, and our next video would be, well actually, you know what, before I go, let's just figure out this guardrail, and then I think we'll be done. And before I do the guardrail, I am not going to demo this. I think by the time you review this and you see how I changed the material on the concrete floor, hopefully you guys can give me a wood deck with horizontal lines. A little hint before I go, right click and overwrite graphics. Anyway, I'm going to leave that alone. So railings are relatively simple. You're just going to click on this tool and you're just going to draw the line where you want your railing to be. And then you're done. Alright guys, the next video will be the roof.